Hello Internet people, welcome to episode 8 of Paint to Life, the YouTube channel where we take tiny plastic miniatures, throw some acrylic paint onto them, and breathe life into them through storytelling so you might learn something new on the subject, or get a new NPC to throw into your campaign. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning visitor, glad to have you back. I hope you guys enjoy the episode. I'm GM Atank, let's get painting. Okay, if you missed last week's video about Arbogast the Treant, the link can be found up here or in the description below, so you should check that one out. This week we're going to be heading back to the good aligned metallic dragon, in particular the copper dragon. Copper dragons have a well-deserved reputation as incorrigible pranksters, joke tellers, and riddlers. They appreciate all forms of humor and are compelled to seek out companionship. Consequently, a copper dragon is a social creature and will typically pull a prank or tell a riddle rather than fight. As a result, it appreciates creatures with wit, and will typically spare something that can regale a story or a riddle that it hasn't heard. Older dragons actually develop lips that they can use to articulate their speech when dealing with other creatures. They prefer dry, rocky uplands and mountains as a habitat. They typically share the terrain with silver dragons and red dragons. The silver dragons, also being good aligned, will typically just ignore them, just not wanting to get involved in their trickery. And the red dragons abhor them and will do their best to slay them at any opportunity. And of course the coppers know this and do their best to stay out of the way, but also be a little bit of a thorn in the red side. Many a copper dragon considers the presence of a red as a challenge, an opportunity to annoy, harass, and embarrass the evil creature, while trying their best not to get killed, as a red dragon is much more formidable of an opponent than a copper dragon. Now, copper dragons are powerful jumpers. They have enormous forearms and hind legs. They prefer to jump and climb rather than to fly, and they'll typically build their lairs as such in mazes, low, tight areas where they can clunk down and kind of just maneuver through there, as opposed to some of their other dragon cousins that prefer to fly in the air. Now, these copper dragons are innately magical, but they don't typically polymorph themselves. They like their own form, but they do excel at magic that shapes stone or mud, lets them recast the earth in the manner that they see fit, as that's kind of how they build said lairs and their living environments. Now, if you do meet up with a copper dragon in your campaign, they are good aligned, so it's not necessarily a dangerous situation. Just remember, as with all dragons, flattery gets you everywhere. Make sure to laugh at any joke that they put out, and no matter what happens, always ensure that they stay as the center of attention, or you risk irking them. Now, that's copper dragons in general, but what about our copper dragon? The one we're talking about and painting tonight. Who is this? What's its story? The renowned bard Talon Swift was following a trail high in the mountains. Talon was a slender, good-looking man, very athletic but somewhat stringy. The temperature had dropped a few more degrees from miles below, and his breath was starting to appear in front of his face despite being the middle of the summer. The curving path revealed a clearing ahead, in which two men were sitting atop horses having a conversation. One man, a warrior no doubt, as he was clad in full plate, was trying to keep warm by taking his cloak and wrapping it around himself. The other man was a stout, bookish man. It was kind of on the heavy side, but it was nothing that his little horse couldn't handle. Well met, friends. I'm Talon Swift. I believe you may have heard of me. From where do you hail, and more curiously, what brings you high atop this mountain upon a trail I believe was left for me? I am Malark Oxborn, and as I was telling my new friend here, you both are mistaken. This trail was indeed left for me. Well, actually, as I was telling my friend here, there is no mistake. I was given this letter by Cuprum the dragon. He told me to meet him here. So, you see, I'm a wizard of some renown. Taran Lawson is my name, and I have enjoyed the company of dragons in my travels. Hey Taran, that looks an awful lot like my letter. And I also know Cuprum the drunk. Well, I'm sorry to rain on everyone's parade, but I too have a letter, and I happen to know of the reptilian in question. How do you two know Cuprum? I had encountered him in my travels. We were walking and we encountered an enraged Bahir in the forest. It came crashing through and we engaged it and killed it together. He said we would go to a town to celebrate. I was fine with that. Once there, Cuprum sent me inside to fetch a couple of barrels of wine for himself, drinks for everyone else. And sure enough, before you know it, the whole town was out in the fields celebrating with this copper dragon. It was fine until Cuprum just flew away. And then when the tavern keeper came looking for the bill, who do you think they stuck it with? It was almost 70 gold. I had to work at that shite tavern for almost a year just to pay it off. Oh, really? Well, at least he didn't almost get you executed. He stopped me on the Kingsway when I was riding, and he handed me a box and asked me to deliver it to the king. He said it was of utmost urgency, so I used some of my formidable magical powers to get myself there without respite. For 2 days it took me to get there, and when I arrived, the court was in session. Due to the urgency of the message, I was given access, and I delivered the box to the king. Well, he opened it up, and it must have been fermenting inside or building pressure, because it exploded into this putrid, fishy-like stench, and it sprayed all over everyone, and it was not good. Put it this way, it's a good thing they needed a court wizard at the time, or I'd still be in the dungeons under that castle. That sounds like the Cuprum I know. You see, it seems my exploits as a lover preceded me, as I was doing some soft time, 10 days, for an unfortunate pickpocketing accident that I had nothing to do with, honestly. Just a misunderstanding. Well, suddenly there's this large dragon tearing the roof off of the town lockup, snipping me out of there and walking me to the edge of the forest. Well, I start talking to him, and apparently he was looking for some advice on how to get back in the good books with his lady friend. Before I knew it, he's gone, and I'm still a wanted fugitive in that province. Gentlemen, please. The great copper dragon had been camouflaged on the cliff face about 100 feet above them. He quietly descends down, using such strength to keep his bulk upright as he climbs vertically down the wall and lands on the ground. Thank you all for coming. As I mentioned in my letter, I wanted to take this opportunity to make things right. The great dragon motions with his claw, and a shimmering wall of magic disappears. No more than 30 feet from where they had been standing is this cave, which is about 100 feet in diameter, inside of which is this pile of treasure: gold, silver, jewels, weapons and armor, no doubtably magical, chests, just all piled up in this massive pile. And the dragon stalks in, turns around, and motions for them to follow. Anything you can take out of here is yours. So Monarch Oxborn walks in, he eyes up this iron-bound chest, he bends over. It's full, packed to the rim of coins and gems. He lifts it, he tries to lift it. He grunts as he strains under the weight. Cuprum kind of chuckles, looks at him and says, "Maybe something a little less ambitious, Monarch?" Well, the warrior turns to the dragon, reaches into his pouch and pulls out a vial of liquid that looks almost like liquid fire, and he pulls the stopper, drinks it. Suddenly you can see him trembling as he almost grows by about half a foot. His muscles appear bigger, and he definitely looks more imposing. Bends over, tries again, and this time lifts the chest without even a second thought. He chuckles as he walks out of the cave, cautiously walking past Cuprum, who looks at him a little bit agitated, but true to his word, he lets Monarch go. Next, Taran Lawson runs forward and nervously over his shoulder, glancing at Cuprum, he starts filling his pockets of his robes with coins. A couple here, a couple there, a couple here. And then he opens his bag. For 10 minutes, he's dumping coins into this extra-dimensional space that's inside this bag of holding. He looks up Cuprum and says, "Anything I can carry, right?" Cuprum, visibly annoyed, kind of clenches his teeth as he looks up at the room, and Taran skips past him and runs out the front. Talon Swift, the whole while observing the dragon and the horde, stands before Cuprum and says, Instead of my pick from this treasure, I'll give you a riddle. If you get it right, I won't take anything. If you get it wrong, you owe me a favor. The dragon's lips curl. Done. Okay, you know the village Brightflower where you pulled me out of jail? Yes. You know the inn there, the Ochre Owl? Yes, fabulous spot. Okay, so the question is, how many people there do you think have had the pleasure of spending a night with yours truly? Cuprum thinks about this with a large grin on his face that only gets larger the more time he takes. 4. The waitress, REMORA OAKBAR. The housekeeper, LINETTE ROWLAND. The milkmaid, what was her name again? That little elvish woman. AMRA? AMRA, that's right. So that's 3. But let's not forget the owner Saul, his pretty little wife, MERIDETH, for 4. Cuprum lets loose a large, hearty roar, then turns to Talon to confirm his victory. Sorry boss, it's actually 5. The waitress, REMORA OAKBAR. The housekeeper, LINETTE ROWLAND. The milkmaid, AMRA. Saul's pretty little wife, MERIDETH, and well, you forgot Saul. That's 5. The dragon began laughing so heartily that loose coins in the treasure pile actually spilled through the vibrations. Well done, young Talon Swift, well done. So what favor would you ask of me? Simple. I want to travel with your excellency as your herald. Cuprum's eyes rolled upwards and a thick smile crossed his lips. Done, young man. We will have exploits so adventurous that the libraries of Great Candlekeep will not be able to contain them. As they take their first steps to leave, Talon spots a loose coin on the ground and bends over to pick it up as a memento of today. Don't touch that, Mr. Swift. It's just 1 coin. Exactly, but it's not my coin. This is the lair of Ruthos the Red, and when he gets back in the next couple days, he's going to be pissed when he finds out that he was robbed. I'm imagining he's going to leave no stone unturned while he uncovers the identities and whereabouts of the thieves, and I would not want to be on the other side of that vendetta. So, let's make like a tree and leave. Talon burst out laughing, and the two depart to begin their adventures together. Talon Swift and Cuprum the Trickster. Well, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the story of Cuprum the Copper. Here he is right here for the shelf. If you do like the channel, please help supporting it by liking, subscribing, and sharing this video with any friends that you think might be interested in it. I really do appreciate it. If you'd like to follow along with the painting with commentary, you can find the link in the description below, as well as up here. Quarantine is still kicking, and if you're looking for something to do, I always recommend, if you can, head to your local gaming store. They might have a curbside pickup or delivery. Pick up some paints, pick up a brush, grab one of these Nolzur models and start painting it. It's a lot of fun, and you'll be happy that you did. As always, I release videos on Saturdays, so hope to see you back here again next week. For now, that's it. I'm Atank. Wash your hands, people.